This one is fascinating. This one, you got to have a business degree to break it down. That's not true, but Chris does have a business degree, and he's going to
Well,
break
thank
it
you,
down.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, guys. All right, here it is. This is going to be a bit of a segment in itself, guys, because I am going to break this down, and I want everyone to pay attention. There's a lot of numbers involved, but I want you all to pay attention. I want you to really, if you're looking at your phones or your screens or whatever it is, get comfortable, and let's get on this. Now, this is my number one pick from the top 10. So let me call that out first, and that's Amazing Spider-Man, number 300. This book is something else, guys. We all know that we love this book. We all know that we love Venom. We all know that we love McFarlane. We all know that we love this cover because it's been cover swiped probably about 2.578 billion times. Obviously, that's an exaggeration. But, dude, this book continues to just beat up everything else, okay? We had another 146% increase from last week. And get this, guys. A CGC high for a 9.8 or a high CGC 9.8 sale, $4,500. Okay, here we go, guys. Are you ready? Now, I bring this up because I'm seeing what this book is doing, and I have to bring up something that I talked about 2.5 years ago on my channel, guys. I did a video that was entitled How to Invest in Collect and Investment Comics, something like that, right? And I went over modern books, I went over Silver Age books, and somebody commented and said, hey, we should only invest in Silver Age books. Modern books are trash. I said, respectfully, I disagree with you. Just because it's a Silver Age book doesn't mean there's money there. I mean, I could go to any LCS store and find Silver Age books for under $10 in the back issue bins. It's been that way for 10, 20, 30 years, and they're still there, right? Now, you can't sum up Silver Age keys in the same breath as, say, Silver Age run fillers that are like mid-grade copies, okay? There's a market for modern books, and this book is proven why. So, after that individual commented on that video, I did another video, and I asked, Amazing Spider-Man number 1 or Amazing Spider-Man 300, guys? Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you right now. We're gonna pretend it's 2013, okay? And Jeff, you're gonna play along here. So
Yep.
it's 2013, guys. Kid Collector, you're like,
3 years old.
I know you're pretty young back then, but just pretend you're your age now because we want you involved in this as well. It's 2013, and you have. Well, actually, before I get into how much money you have in your pocket, keep in mind, guys, when we look at these books, you got to understand that if you want to get an Amazing Spider-Man number 1, you need to have thousands of dollars of money available to just spend. A lot of collectors don't have that, so that's probably what makes other books like Amazing Spider-Man 300 a bit more feasible. We all know that, but let's look at it like this.
Before you start,
yes,
we brought up Kid Collector. I've been putting away $10 each week for this book, and each week it feels like it gets further and further away.
Yeah. Let me reply to that. Kid Collector. Here's the thing, though. By the time you save up enough money, it may have increased and increased, but guess what? If you never put the money away, you would never have any amount of money to make the purchase no matter what the price is.
Good point.
So keep it up. Don't lose track. And keep in mind, too, you don't have to always shoot for the 9.6 or 9.8, especially in this book. When you get enough money, you might be happy with the nice 8.0 or something like that. So, keep that door open. But all right, guys, it's 2013. In 2013, a 9.4 Amazing Spider-Man number 1, fair market value, $65,000. Okay? In 2013, fair market value of a 9.6 Amazing Spider-Man 300, $125, right? Okay. So let me tell you something. Let's pretend you had $65K. You had $65,000 in your pocket, and it's 2013. What would you do? Would you take that $65,000 and go purchase yourself that 9.4 issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 1? Or would you buy, 541 copies of ASM 300s? Let me ask the question one more time, and I want you all to take a moment to answer this for me before I go into this more. You have $65,000 in your pocket. It's 2013. Do you buy one Amazing Spider-Man #1?
What's the grade for that? What's the grade?
In a 9.4. Or do you buy 541 9.6 Amazing Spider-Man 300s? I want you guys to answer in the comments. We'll ask Jeff. Jeff, what are your thoughts? It's 2013. You got this big chunk of money. You're rolling with stacks, 65K, and you're walking into that comic shop and you see that Amazing Spider-Man #1, 9.4, so beautiful. Or you're thinking, I'm going to get a fat stack of 541 issues of Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Here's the deal. In retrospect, right now, it's easy for me to say Amazing Spider-Man 300. But back then, you know, every 5 years, I look back on me 5 years ago, and I'm a knucklehead, right? I'm like, I was an idiot back then. So I would spend that amount on the Amazing Spider-Man #1 to tell everybody I had an Amazing Spider-Man #1. But also look at it as an investment, and I think that investment would be far safer than an Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Right. Okay. So Jeff brings up some very good points, guys, while you guys are answering. He said he wants to go for the Amazing Spider-Man #1 because he wants to tell all of his friends that he has that book, because it is one of those, that's that book, right? So I get that. You know, it's not always about necessarily the deeper rooted reason of investing, but there's the collecting aspect. Maybe a collector would just rather buy that book. That's valid. Just like Kid Collector just said, Spider-Man 1, baby, that's always been my second goal. I get that. But let's look at the...
And Bishner, he answered the question too. Bishner said Amazing Spider-Man 300. All
right. Okay, so guys, I'm going to get a little sip of water here and we're going to dive into this.
Get your pencils ready.
All right. Now.
Hold on. Raider Bear brings up a good question. What grade is the Amazing Spider-Man 300?
Let me say, okay. 500 plus copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300 at a 9.6. And the look, it honestly, it could have been a 9.4 as well, because the ASM's a 9.4. The argument would still be the same, really, pretty much. But I just had the numbers for a 9.6. But we all know that a 9.4 ASM 1 next to a 9.6 modern book. I mean, so, but yeah, these are 9.6 ASM 300s and a 9.4 ASM #1.
All right, Earl Hawkins, good point. Amazing Spider-Man #1. If I had $65,000, I'm sure I could also afford an Amazing Spider-Man at a later date. That's a good point.
I'm going to prove to you, Earl, why at a later date, though, doesn't cut it. Let's get into this, guys. All right. If you... And now, I want to look at some percentages real quick, guys. When I did this video 2 years ago, the return on investment in a percentage. Now, remember, return on investment can be looked at as a percentage and as a dollar amount. In 2018, the fair market value for a 9.6 Amazing Spider-Man 300, okay, was $400. So your return on investment, if you bought it in 2013, was like, what, 300 and something percent. That's a huge percentage. But dollar amount, it's only $375, right? And if you would have bought an Amazing Spider-Man #1 in 2013, the return on investment was only like 7%, but that's like $9,000. So if you just bought one of the books, your return on investment in dollar amount would have been a lot more for an Amazing Spider-Man #1. But remember, we're looking at having a lump sum of money and how to invest that lump sum. So let's fast forward to today now, guys. If you had $65K to invest in and you bought an Amazing Spider-Man #1, Jeff, let's show them what would have happened.
Okay, we're going to bring up these numbers here. Chris is going to walk you through it, so don't try and take it all in at once. Chris will walk it through
one by one. This top number, you have $65K in 2013. Today, if you sold that book, your return on investment means the profit that you have in your pocket, $9,250. But guys, if you spent that $65K on 541 Amazing Spider-Man #300s in 2013, and you sold all those books today, do you know how much money you would have sitting in your pocket after you sold them? That number is not a lie. $797,000, 975. Let me repeat that number for you. $797,975. Guys, tell me what the best investment is. Now, I get flack because people tell me, who in their right mind is going to buy 500 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300? Well, get this, guys. In 2013, say you had only $5,875 to spend. You could have bought 47 copies of Amazing Spider-Man number 300 in 2013 with just under $6,000. And if you sold those books today, you would have enough money, that's $74,250 in your pocket, which is what? Guess what? The fair market value of a 9.4 ASM number 1 today.
Standing ovation, everybody. Before we go any further, Kid Collector's impressed. Beechner, boom, mic drop, I'm out. And Raider Bear, his decision made him rich. Holy cow. That number breakdown was phenomenal. Like, again, I would never foresee myself buying 541 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Right.
But if I know what I know now, back then I absolutely would. Like, that's insane. And it goes to say, like, with Earl Hawkins, you know, you could have, you make $797,000, you're going to be able to afford a 9.8 Spider-Man number. You're going to be able, you know, it's so.
Right. So yeah. Now, if you would have said, I'm not going to buy the Amazing Spider-Man number 1, I'm going to invest in this Amazing Spider-Man 300. You could have flipped those books and you could have bought an Amazing Fantasy 15. You could have bought 2 Amazing Spider-Man number 1s, and you could have bought a Superman number 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy. I would never have broken it down that way. And Earl, you just reversed my answer.
Let me make something clear, guys. Look, first off, there's a point to this outside of just looking at these numbers and saying, whoa, I would have made almost $800,000 by investing in 500 books of one copy of a book, right? Here's the thing. Again, I'm going to reiterate. It's most of us don't have $65,000 in our pocket at once. But the bigger takeaway here is that modern books can be an investment, guys. Is there more risk involved? Yes. There's more risk involved when it comes to modern books, but there are investment values there that are feasible. And that's why I did that last piece where I said, even if you just had $5,800 in your pocket in 2013, that's more feasible for some of us. We can really say, look, I'm going to take $5,000 to $6,000, and you could have bought, what was the number? 40 something copies, 47 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300. That's more feasible, right? So even then, even if you downscale how you're playing the market and investing, it just goes to show, guys, look, you could have invested $2,000 and bought like 20 Amazing Spider-Man 300s and had enough to flip those books, keep a couple for a long-term investment, and still bought some other Silver Age keys. So there's, even though I know that buying 500 books of one thing is crazy, having 65K in your pocket's crazy, there is a bigger point to be made here, guys. And that's, if you guys want to play in a comic book collecting as an investment, nothing is really black and white. You can't just sit here and say Silver Age books are the only thing that you should invest in. There's no money in modern books, because yes, there is. You just have to be willing to either have patience, educate yourself to the market, and most importantly, accept the risk with the reward.